typical disgusting display.
Oh, tonight we got 'em. Goldy, the Sulk, and JC.
The typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
So, welcome back to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display podcast for writers by writers who hate writing. Guys, I'm still floating. I'm still high from last week, Michael McKean and Pot, but
Yes.
mostly Michael McKean.
I'm gonna give it
First
to you.
joke of the
Michael
day. First joke of the day.
Oh boy. Wow. Controversy already. It was so great talking with him and listening back to him. He was so generous with his stories and JC, as you said, him singing for us was
like
unbelievable.
Beautiful.
And
I
I
also
stand-
think you like the fact that I barely talked.
There was something soothing about the whole podcast. I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
Second joke of the day. Second joke of the day.
You're breaking out the Letterman cackle. I like it.
Yeah. Extra derision.
Extra derision. No, that was fun last week. But Goldy, we're going to talk about your neighborhood in a minute.
Yeah.
But there's something else that you and I have talked about over the years, and I'm experiencing right now. Is you have this very funny theory about the animal kingdom and life on this planet. And I'm going through it right now, and I'll tell you why. Because yesterday, in two separate events that I had no idea when they happened or how they happened, I got a little cut on the back of my index finger and a little cut on the front of my middle finger. They happened at different times during the day, and already I feel like I'm gonna be thinned from the herd. Like I can't do anything. Everything I do reminds me of it. I've got the showering, you get this all of a sudden the electric stinging. I can't grip
Put on
things.
a Band-Aid.
I had a Band-Aid. You can't wear it in the shower. It just comes off.
Okay.
It's the pinky out teacup masturbation now. It's just nothing's working right.
Oh my God.
But you've always talked about this.
Yeah. 3 things wrong with you, even if they're small and you're dead. Basically, like what ends up happening is, first of all, it's interesting that your parchment thin skin isn't just a metaphor. It's
Right.
it's a reality.
It's really true.
But so, because you've got now both your hands, there's something a little wrong with them. That leads to you slightly mishandling a knife, and then it falls and like hits your foot. Then you can't walk right, and then you're dead.
Yes, that's it.
Like you have to be so careful right now. If you get a third thing, it's over.
The lions will come.
Right now, I only have one thing wrong with me.
But it sounds like a big
lucky
one.
You.
You feel like super.
Well, my arms fall asleep while I sleep, and they were asleep for so long last night that they're now a little like numb still. But like what ends up happening is when I sleep, I wake up, realize my arms are asleep, and then I have to throw my arms over the side of the bed, but I can't use my arms.
Oh no.
So I just am kind of like rolling. I think it has to do with my mattress actually more than because when I sleep in a different bed, it doesn't seem to happen.
Oh.
I love this.
Interesting.
This is like
a mattress you buy once and you're pot committed. It's like, well, I gotta do this for 20 years now. I think I spent like $3,800 on this stupid avocado mattress.
Flip it over.
Will that do anything?
They say that every few years you can flip it over and you get kind of a renewed spring coil strength.
Flip it over with what? My legs? I can't use my arms.
with your wife. Flip it over with your wife.
Yeah. Then I would have to like remake the bed, which is almost worse than just dying.
I love the idea of your numb arms, like it's like Weekend at Goldy's, like you just got like dead arms.
They're just slightly sore. It's not like I
have the same thing. Weirdly though, I discovered one time I was sleeping with my arms straight up, like with my elbows on the mattress, and so the blood was flowing out of my hands. So maybe you're sleeping funny.
It just kind of doesn't make sense that we have to like lie there for a third of a day and not know what's going on.
That's true.
Function the rest of the time. Like, shouldn't we just die 20 years sooner and be awake the whole time?
Ooh, wow. That's too much.
Oh,
See too much.
No, we'd be too tired. Go. I'm already tired as it is.
No. I wake up and like my first thought is like, what's the minimum amount I can do before I just go back to bed?
Ooh, that's true.
Stock minimum.
I told you I'm eyeing that. I have a bedtime reminder 9:35 every night.
I know.
Yeah.
Boom. Snap
proof.
into action. The phone told me to.
Yeah.
Well, so Goldy, tell us, because this is a Halloween themed episode with our top 5 later, and you got stuff going on in your neighborhood right now. What's happening on your street?
I think maybe I've talked before about how when we were children, Halloween was one day.
Yeah.
And now it's a month. It's become spooky Ramadan. Somehow it turns October 1st. And when I moved here 11 years ago, or 12 years ago at this point. So there are lighting designers who live on the street and clever set designers and Hollywood people. And they really go all out and do a great job decorating their homes. There's light shows and homes are entirely transformed. And then that became, let's close down the street. It started to draw traffic. This is for children.
And it's a narrow street.
And when I was a kid, the costume you would get that day, my parents would go to a store, and the one I remember the most was it came in a box. It was $3, and it was just Bozo, and it was like a rubber face you would wear, and kind of like a plastic rainbow smock, and it's like you're going as Bozo. There was no what are you gonna be? And let's instill a sense of wonder. It was like, here, we bought you this fucking Bozo in a box thing. Now put it on, and it's so the people in your neighborhood who, keep tabs on what kids live in my neighborhood. Oh, that kid's getting older. Oh, look at them now. Oh, they look cute. That's what it's supposed to be. Here's some candy for you, the children. But what my neighborhood has become is it's the fucking fire festival of Halloween now.
Oh my God.
People who don't live here are converging on my neighborhood by the thousands. And so
wow.
3 years ago, because of COVID, I don't, because I live up steps, I didn't want anyone coming to my door. So I bought a hunk of rubber PVC pipe, and we created this thing called the candy chute. So I could stand on my balcony and kids could put their basket on the bottom, and I drop candy down the chute. And this became kind of like a feature of the block now. It's people like, oh, it's the candy chute house. So
yeah.
So last year we bought, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 of those Costco bags of candy. Wow. It wasn't enough. It was like thousands of pieces of candy. I don't know any of these kids. They're all fucking greedy. They're like, can I have this kind? They're shouting up the balcony. God. It's like, take your fucking thing and get the fuck out of here. So, I mean, it's like a mob scene. And so then last year, the breaking point for me was, do you know Seal, the musician?
Yeah.
Yeah, do I?
The people are like, Seal's here. Seal's on the street.
Oh my God.
Seal's walking around dressed like a piece of bread. He's just a giant piece of bread. Presumably Seal lives in a nice neighborhood where they're giving away candy. So I don't need fucking Seal on my street standing under my candy chute getting candy. Seal should have his own candy.
Yes, his own
this is insane now. Yes. That I can't even walk. I can't even bring my kids on my own street. It's too fucking crowded.
Wow.
With celebrities who are coming to my street and
inbred.
And then the kids leave, around 9, the kids leave. And then adults, grown-ups, are now asking for candy. It's just fucking grown-ups in costumes who are like, now I'm trick-or-treating. And I was telling someone this, and they were saying, well, maybe they're food insecure people, and it's like,
no,
they shouldn't be eating fucking candy then. It's not. If you're not eating any food, then you're not supposed to just eat
candy.
Skittles. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
And so
you should
I'm getting yelled at, and then people are like, they're unhoused, which I now understand why the term homeless is offensive. Someone explained it to me and made a lot of sense, because you're saying that they may have a shelter where they live, and that is their home. And you were saying that they do not have a home.
Right.
Right.
To call them unhoused, you're just saying that thing's not a house. It's transferring the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So whatever. People who do not live in a conventional structure, which we would call a home, apartment, if they're coming by, I give a lot of money to the LA Food Bank, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
I give a lot of money to the LA Public Library.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They are in my will. So if someone thinks that I am not a good enough person, I will challenge you to a will off right now that we will go on Wilshire Boulevard, which is important. We'll both get our wills out. We will take 10 paces from each other. We'll hold up our wills to see who's a better person. I guarantee you I'm a better person according to my will. So don't tell me that, like, I'm a liberal person and now I'm being yelled at because I don't think our plan should just be to give people who are food insecure small amounts of Skittles to sustain them on my street. That I think there's a better solution than just swing on by, like, just spend a lot of money on a costume, swing on by, and then your plan for nutrition should be small packs of jujubes, and I'm the asshole. Like, it has to stop at a certain point. It has to just be kids.
Yes.
You should madness.
What if you just got the worst candies? Then they won't come back.
I do want, like, the neighborhood kids and my kids' friends who I know. I do want them. I don't want Seal dressed as a piece of bread shouting up at me to give him candy.
Oh, we're never gonna survive unless we get a little candy.
It's like literally like there are celebrities who come here now to like be seen on Instagram. That's
crazy.
I hate
well,
it.
Goldy, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, your PVC pipe, which I think is very cool, should have a vacuum function. Where if the adults come like, I want candy too, it's like, wrong, and I'm taking yours to give to kids because you're an adult. Secondly, with the wills, I've always said this, you know, we all have a will. I also want to have a won't that just lists people I'm not giving to. Not giving to you, won't give you anything.
We have specific people our children are not supposed to go to listed. It's like a secret list that can never get out.
I know John Viner's on that list.
They love Viner's great with them.
That's sweet.
Good. Well, he must be their godfather. Oh, no, wait, he's Levy's godfather. Barely knows her.
The first thing that I wanted to do is we just leave them to Tom Cruise. Because what's he gonna say? No, like, that would be such a dick move. So I said leave them
to Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. At least they're
like,
not
what are they going to publicly say no? And then, you release posthumously an Instagram post saying we've left our kids to Harry and Meghan, and they have to take them.
Yeah.
Oh, the hippopotamus. I loved all that.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
To get people to go away from your house, send them to Josh Robert Thompson's house, because he is encouraging people to go to every year. He does a huge Halloween thing.
Right.
And then tell the celebrities that's the place to be. And then
no, it's too late by that point, though.
It's kind of
They're already in the neighborhood.
It's true.
Oh, Goldy, that's really funny. And I'm sorry that you're about to go through that whirlwind. That's going to be brutal. And something else.
Invading horde. I will post it on Instagram and I will show you, like, you
the horde tour.
Even walk.
That's so crazy.
We want to see pics. That's going to be great. That's going to be a nightmare. And something else that's a nightmare is right now, Johnny Jokes.
Whoa, from Hollywood. Here's the man himself, Johnny.
Oh, there's my weak golf swing, my 1992 weak golf swing. All right, here we go. A South American company has created a biodegradable burial pod that will turn your body into a tree. When the company president was asked what kind of tree, he said one that milks saps. Milks saps. And here's kind of a sad story, and Goldy, I may need your assistance on this one. Legendary actor Sir Michael Caine has announced that he is officially retiring from acting. He was only 90 years old.
You were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. You know, the problem with the old Michael Caine is it's too high. The years of whiskey and brandy have lowered it. She was only 90 years old.
Yeah. You don't do the broken voice. You do the broken voice when he gets very emotional.
When he gets very emotional. He gets very emotional indeed.
See, I knew you'd like jumping in on that one. Okay, maybe you heard this story from overseas. The Venice airport has been closed after a flock of seagulls blocked an Emirates flight bound for Tehran. Passengers were understandably upset as Iran's so far away. Flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
They did it. All right.
That's good.
And finally, kind of a sad story here, JC. Get that index finger ready. Beloved Three's Company star Suzanne Summers died suddenly last week at the age of 76.
Aww.
He gone!
She gone.
Attempts at CPR were totally misinterpreted by Mr. Furley.
That's funny.
Johnny 2.
All right, here we go. Well, tragedy continues to unfold in the Middle East. The Gaza Strip is now so bleak and destroyed, they're thinking of opening an Arby's.
I don't know how you keep finding comedy over there, but you do.
Amid worsening diplomatic conditions, President Biden is considering a trip to Israel, but aides are telling him to just trip here.
Oh, double.
There we go. Well, the company LinkedIn laid off 700 employees this week.
Wow.
They were advised to immediately get out of LinkedIn and immediately get on LinkedIn. In her new book, Jada Pinkett says she and Will Smith have not been living together as husband and wife for 7 years. Yeah. This confirmed Hollywood's worst kept secret that she's been slapping with other men.
Oh.
And finally,
that's great.
Aaron Rodgers is back to throwing a football a mere 3 weeks after Achilles surgery. He says if this incredible progress continues, by early November, he could be doing drugs in a cave.
Oh, excellent
Boy,
crop, Goldy.
What a rough week this was to do that.
By the way, we talked beforehand and you said you weren't sure if you had it. I can tell you, you had it.
Yeah.
You had it.
By the
Very
skin
funny.
of my head.
All right. Well, so we don't have a guest this week. We're going to be talking a little bit about making a toast and or speech at possibly a wedding or an event. That's going to be fun. But we want to talk a little bit because a lot of you out there, whether you're a writer or not, you are called upon at a certain point to give a toast at your friend's wedding, at a relative's bar or bas mitzvah, at somebody's 50th birthday party, although thankfully Goldy didn't give his at mine.
The sort of block punt would be bas mitzvot.
The bas mitzvot. I love that. I love getting into the weeds with bar and bas mitzvot. Yes, but so a lot of people dread this. Yes. And I think you'll find as we talk about it that we also dread this, even though we are comedy writers and should theoretically be a little more comfortable doing this. But Goldy, we were talking a little bit beforehand. I think you had the greatest piece of advice right out of the gate about toasts and speeches.
Oh. Well, so the Navy SEALs say the best way to win a fight is to never get in a fight.
Yes. That is.
The best toast. The best thing to do with a toast is to get out of giving the toast or speech.
Yes.
Because there's
so
little upside and there's infinite downside.
Yes.
All you can do, if you do a good job, it'll just be remembered as did a good job. They might remember one thing you said.
Yep.
If you did a bad job, ruined the wedding.
Yes.
Ruined the funeral. We're completely inappropriate. Offended, Grandpa. Walked the room. Left everyone angry. Destroyed the vibe of the event. Couldn't dance after that. Ended the friendship.
Nightmare.
Never invited it.
You know, it was good. You were funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was funny. Good job.
That's it. That's the big upside.
Yeah.
For me, I have noticed also, and I love that first piece of advice. Like,
get out of it.
Best way to win a fight is not to be in a fight. Let's have the SEALs say that. It rhymes a little better. Also, I think a big thing to take into consideration is the crowd. Like, who are you giving a toast to? Who are you giving this speech to? You have to tailor what you're saying to a particular crowd. And I'll give you an example because you want a home game. So it's usually best, like my cousin Emily got married right before COVID. I think it actually started COVID. It was in January of 2020 and like everybody got sick after the wedding. But that particular section of my family, that's my home game. They're my Bills Mafia. Like they think that, he works in comedy. They think everything I say is so funny. And so it was a layup. And I knew the certain things and people, you want to reference the right people that everyone knows. You want to do the jokes that have been working for decades, do a new little twist on them somehow. And at this particular wedding, I would never advise this, but I will say that in this case, it helped. In this wedding, when I was giving a toast, I had a guest, John Viner, who was not invited to be part of this podcast, but was invited to be part of that wedding toast because my family knows him as well. He burst in the middle of my speech and demanded that they stop the wedding, that he wanted to marry my cousin Emily.
That's great.
And it was a huge success, and everybody. I don't know how the groom particularly felt about it. Because you have like a 6'5" handsome guy bursting in, like, I want to take your fiance away. But the family loved it. And so that was sort of an example of a speech with a lot of upside, and you got to take the layups when you can get them. So as you say, avoid a toast when you can, but if you see a layup possibility, take the toast, take the layup.
Sure. But I think you're describing a rare circumstance, which is that as part of the family, you're doing it to the family. Like more often than not, you're not part of the family. At least in the times I've given a wedding toast, I was a friend. And so I would say there needs to be an awareness of the event. If you have to do this, you want to do it at the rehearsal dinner.
Oh, yes.
Because everyone's loose.
It's not the wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the thing is every man dreams of his wedding day his entire life. And if things don't go right at that wedding, the man will be devastated because he's been picturing specifically how his wedding will go since he's a little. No. The wedding is obviously a loaded event, and there's expectations, we could say typically with the bride and her family of how things will go. And so the amount of risque material you could do, or the amount of like chances you can take, is much narrower at the wedding itself. So I will say, but the rehearsal dinner, we all know it kind of doesn't count. It's like a preseason game.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the fun. That's actually the
first thing I would do would just be like, hey, I'd like to speak. Can I do it at the rehearsal dinner?
Yep.
Ooh, there you go.
Great. That's great advice. And also it's funny that you mentioned the man-woman dynamic, which I think you hit the nail on the head pretty well there. But another thing, and it's sort of changing and I guess good, it's been a tradition for a long time that the bride's family pays for the wedding itself, and the groom's family kind of takes care of that rehearsal dinner that you're talking about. So that's an extra advantage to have for the rehearsal dinner, because you get the groom's family, presumably the groom, isn't quite as invested in the whole thing going perfectly. So you have a little more wiggle room there. Also, the rehearsal dinner, much cheaper. And so if you go up there and you kind of like fuck shit up, it's not
no one's
really
ever going to be like, and you ruined my rehearsal dinner. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just
Never
not
heard
a
that.
thing. Like, it can't be ruined. Although,
Yeah.
well, this wasn't a ruined rehearsal dinner, but I had a friend who told me about Did you ever go to Keen's Steakhouse in New York, or Keen's Chop House? It's kind of a famous New York restaurant. Anyway, the friend told me, this was going back 25 years, maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
He went to a dinner, and it was like kind of, I guess it was the bachelor party. I don't really know, but it was the night before the wedding where, so they went to this dinner, and they used to hand out meerschaum pipes at this place.
Wow.
They had a private room. I don't know if they still hand out the pipes. They're smoking the pipes. Strippers came in. The bride's brother was there. These strippers blew the groom and blew the groom's dad, and the bride's brother was just like, this is appalling. Like, the wedding's off, and the wedding.
Oh my God, it wasn't expected.
He did?
Yeah, so I guess you can theoretically ruin things, but it wasn't the toast that did it. But anyway, that's a sidebar.
It wasn't the toast, but two ladies were up at the microphone apparently.
Microphones.
Anyway, different era. But
that's I can't believe I've never heard that story from you before. That is amazing.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. Is the guy now? Can you reveal? Is the guy married now? Is he married to someone else?
I wasn't friends with the guy. This was a friend of a friend.
Okay.
So my friend was at this event.
Okay.
And a guest at this wedding, but it was not my friend. I did not know the person. It's like a third party. So thankfully. Thank God.
I know.
For real.
So,
what a nightmare.
Anyway, but just go on my personal experience. Like, so say you're at the rehearsal dinner, you've navigated that correctly. So you've got a little leeway to play with. And you want to be funny, which I don't advise anyone to do, because you don't have to be.
Right.
My second thing would be just to be genuine and emotional and brief. Like, you could literally get up there, and so many people do this, and they're like, my sister's just so special to me. And then people like kind of usher them away because they're too verklempt. And then everyone goes like, that was so sweet. How you?
Yes.
So you're going to get like as much or more credit for just going like, what, I've had the toughest times of my life. He's been there, and I just go and raise a glass. And you get out, and you don't have to do anything. So if you can conjure
Todd Kidder at my wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Did he do that?
He gave a great emotional speech. Oh, it was so great.
See?
Yeah.
There you go.
And clearly you then desecrated the speech with what you did, with how seriously you took those vows.
By the marriage not working out.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on a thank you note for that pan, my friend. I don't know. It's going on 25 years here. I don't know if that's going to, but
20.
Okay. So, but I will say that, like, having done this now 3 or 4 times and having gone to acting school, I've always left real estate for myself at the end of the thing to get genuinely emotional, because
that's
they'll also forgive the joke they might not otherwise forgive.
Yes.
You don't want a lot riding on these jokes. Yes.
You buy it
never
back with
want
emotion.
Now, if you're going to make these jokes, you stay away from the bride. This should be common sense.
Yes.
You do not poke fun at the bride.
Ooh, smart.
You just don't.
Don't poke the bear. Why do that?
No, it's
you just never know.
It's you don't. It's bad form.
Yeah.
But like, there is, with every couple, there's some truth about the couple that everyone kind of knows and circles but doesn't say. And you can, like, one of my friends' weddings, they were both 42 years old, and it was their first wedding. And so I got up and I said, they're such a great couple, and it's so touching, when someone's part of one of these December romances. And it was sort of like that, kind of like, was a big joke. And that was close. That was, I thought, very close to the line, because you're kind of calling the bride old or whatever. But everyone knew, and people remembered that joke. And then I did a bunch of genuine stuff about how, when you're as good as they are, it takes an incredibly long time to find someone as good as you. Right.
Yeah.
So you buy it
That's
back.
Good. That's good.
Buy back.
You don't just get up there and become a comedy monster.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You're not Whitney Cummings. So the first thing I'd be is if you're going to do comedy, don't make it about one of them. Make it about the couple, because then you're not singling anyone out either.
Right.
Yes.
I think people always want to go at the sexual history, which I would not
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Yeah, like say, this guy, we never thought he'd get married. It's and that's horrible. Every time I've seen that done, it's never worked once.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But like, say you were gonna get married again.
Yeah.
Who?
Like, so let's just make a live example here. So what would I hit on? The first thing I would hit on is like, Alec Sulkin's wedding. Here we go again, everyone. Welcome back. Like I would do just acknowledge that you've been You've been married before.
We're back.
Yeah. So good to see everyone again. And with the same youthful enthusiasm we had. We're no more the world weary for this. Yeah. So you sit there, you pitch a tent there and camp out for a minute and a half.
But you shouldn't pitch a tent when you're giving a toast.
No.
Okay, yeah, that's bad.
But I will say, say you're younger and single and you play this right, you will be getting attention.
Yes,
in that respect.
Ooh,
oh
nice.
yeah.
Particularly if you show the genuine emotion. So the first thing I would do is I would there's some truth about it again, lightly needle the groom.
Right. Yes.
Then who the fuck is paying for this event? You fucking thank them.
Ooh.
And build them up and point them out. And you just say, what an amazing dinner. I have never had a lamb chop so perfectly cooked. Thank you for your generosity.
That's smart.
For hosting us on this incredible weekend.
That's so smart. Yes.
Because then
start throwing mint jelly at the crowd.
Yeah.
Goldy, by the way, you are one of the absolute experts at this. Every time I've seen you give a speech, it's been hysterical. Whether it's been in an event that involves me or involves anyone else, you're always terrific at this.
So thank you. So you go from you thank the person, and here's what you do. The groom's party is fair game. Just start teeing off on the buddies.
Ooh.
Giving them the business.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are they still single? Like, what took so,
Charlie's the best man. What was Max Shkreli not available?
Yeah, exactly.
Martin Shkreli.
Yeah. You just rail on the scumbags in the groom's party.
Yep.
Okay.
Of which there will be plenty.
By now, if you've been up a minute and a half and you can turn on the waterworks about what it means at this stage in life, how difficult a time we've been through COVID.
Yeah.
And that these types of events can no longer be taken for granted.
Ooh.
Yes.
And that we should all test immediately tomorrow morning to make sure we do not, like you just.
Yeah, right, you can build on that.
No one wants to hear your whole history with this person. No one wants to. Like, I was at a wedding about a year ago, and I feel like everyone just felt like they had to go into such detail. And it's just like, listen, man.
Get in, get out.
A minute and a half. No one's ever like, oh, God, I would have. You cut it so short.
I know. Because invariably, as you say, there are people who have no idea, who are shut-ins most of the year, apparently, don't get to talk to a lot of people. And they use this as their opportunity, like, this is my, this guy was my college roommate sophomore spring. So here comes a 17-minute speech. And it's just like, then it's like 10:45 and you're all sitting there still. And you're like, this should have been over at 9:30.
Yes. I'll say one other technique before we move on to eulogies, because I wanted to touch on those too, which is the flip side. Like a great way to sort of get the crowd at first is, and I did this when I was single, it wouldn't work as well now, but you get up there and your tie's a little off. You present yourself as kind of a rakish mess. Like you just go, I just flew in. This is crazy. And then however sloppy it is, they kind of get. So you just kind of create a vibe that you're like, you've had a few. Well, if I'd known I was doing this, someone might have wanted to cut me off, but no one did. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Bartender. Like you just present yourself as a mess and just go like, I don't know how I'm friends with them.
Right.
Like, look at them. They're so well put together. And look at me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Put it on yourself.
Yeah. They have everything. I have nothing. Yes. Must be nice to be in love. Like
yeah, right. Yeah. To put shit on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, before we get to eulogies, I wanted to just say this phrase because it's something people might remember. Put a little roast in your toast. Put a little roast in your toast. And emphasis on the little.
Yes.
A little roast in your toast, and that will get people laughing.
Nice. Put a little roast.
A great thing is if the groom is more than 2 years older than the bride.
Yes.
Cradle robber.
Yes, really shine a spotlight on that. And then we're all cracking our knuckles for John Viner's eventual wedding when we'll get to use all that stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be incredible.
That's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But like, shit on yourself, to sum up. Shit on yourself. Shit on the groomsmen. Do not shit on the environment.
Nope.
The food.
Nope.
The bride.
Nope.
Anyone you don't know.
Yep.
I think that about covers it.
And avoid it if you can.
Avoid it.
Right.
That's
and also short. Get in, get out, close with emotion.
Yes.
Get in, short, close with emotion. You're done.
Yeah.
Boom.
Love it.
And the more broken down you can appear, the more kind of like nice hugs you're gonna get after.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love all that advice. All right.
Let's for your own creepy, diabolical purposes.
Yes. Of which there are many. So let's move on to eulogies, because I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that.
So these are obviously, again, the same advice applies. Like, you really don't want to be up there, but there is, it is an honorable thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've given kind of 2.5 of these now, I would say, so I would say what passes for comedy in these is a very low bar. So you don't need to really put your joke writing cap on. But what you want to do is, I would say, is people are not looking for you to make some grandiose statement about life. I made this mistake, I feel like, when I gave my dad's eulogy. I thought it was almost like I wanted to give this great Greek oration. And I think it's just the wrong way to go.
You don't even speak Greek.
No one's going to learn anything from you.
Right.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like, you're not Barack Obama.
Right.
So the more personal and less general you can be, I think the better. Like, what the person meant to you, like starting off how you met the person. What was that first interaction like? And, like when I did it for my mother-in-law, I don't remember if this was in the speech or not, but I remember like the first time I met her, she was very unimpressed with me, which felt like I liked her instantly, so
that's funny.
Yeah. So it gives you like an entree into who the person was. And then you create the arc of how they opened up to you. You open up to them and what you shared and the time you shared.
That's sweet. I'm emotional just thinking about
how sad you are for this,
Yeah.
You list their accomplishments. They did X, Y, Z. And again, the same thing, 4 minutes. Because I think you go into these things, like I used to think, I have the responsibility for how people are going to remember this, how people are going to remember this person and what their legacy. No, you don't. You're not that important. The person's legacy is the legacy and the impression they left on people. But what you can also do is solicit stories from people close to that person. And a great thing to do and a great way to get content, which is all we're trying to do. That's it. Tell the other person's story.
Yeah.
So I heard a great story. I was talking, as we remember this person, I was talking to blank. There were so many stories, and I heard she told me this thing about her. I never knew that, when she was 8, she blah, blah, blah. I never knew. And it just goes to show that, like, for all the stuff we do know, imagine the stuff we don't. That's a great way to get content, is you do a little investigative reporting.
Yeah, talk to people.
Gather for the funeral. But what you don't do is you don't go like, they were born December 8th in 1942 in Des Moines, Iowa. They went to college and you're not the Stephen Wright DJing in the Tarantino Reservoir Dogs. And now little green bag.
Well, speaking of that, I just had an idea. Tell me yay or nay on this.
Yeah.
If you can work it with the funeral home.
John Viner bursts in and says, "No,
I
want to be in that coffin.
I want to get in there. Get out of there, you." No, I'm thinking, they announce, and now, to speak about the late whoever is son-in-law, John Goldblatt, instantly over the loudspeakers. You just come in with the Carson theme. Then
I'd say you'll know
home.
from the tone of the funeral up to that point whether that would be the right choice.
I want to spotlight a couple things. A great and this goes contrary to the advice we're giving, and I totally agree with.
That's
like
fine.
when you're doing a eulogy, you don't, as you say, you don't put on the joke writing hat. Like the level of joke is very low,
and it can go wrong. It can go wrong
fast. I will say, you can watch this on YouTube. When Graham Chapman died, founding member of Monty Python, and he died in the 80s. Obviously, the rest of Monty Python were there, and they all gave speeches. If you look up John Cleese's speech at Graham Chapman's funeral, it's certainly the funniest eulogy I've ever heard. Like, he just got up there and tore Graham Chapman a new asshole, like from the stand, but like all in a very British, like right. Proper, I'm 6'5" and hilarious way. Yeah. But you have to watch it because he threads such a small needle. It was worth coming up with the jokes for that end result. Something else, as we were talking on both sides of this, eulogies, but in particular, the first half, I do feel like we have to acknowledge Rich Appel.
Oh, Toastmaster General, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, he's the guy, and obviously we all work with him over at Family Guy, but he is someone who has become so good at this kind of stuff that he gets like called in to do toasts where he's not even really affiliated with the event. Like people like Dana Walden and really high up people, our friend Dana Walden, by the way, will call upon Rich saying, hey, I need to make this toast or speech at this event. Can you help me with it? And Rich is so good at it. He puts such care into it. And he's like the perfect example of any family function. He is going to be the funniest guy, and it's also going to be incredibly smart, and he'll get to the touching part. Like, he does all the advice that you gave, Goldy. Yeah. Whereas as and you were giving the advice, which I agree with, for people like us, you come in a little slovenly, the tie undone. Rich is not that way.
No,
he'll come in impeccable. He will deliver tight, perfectly timed jokes, and then get to an emotional part and get out. So he
gets emotional. He gets very emotional indeed.
And he does the broken voice.
I'm giving advice to people who like don't want to do this.
Yes.
Who are only going to do it once in their life. Get up a little bit of a mess, light jokes, emotional truth, your relationship to them.
Yep.
The larger sort of, how nice it is to see everyone, how nice it is to be surrounded, leading to some genuine, hopeful breakdown, which people will see you as a nice, sensitive mess, and they'll say you did a good job out of pity.
Nice, yes.
That's great.
Checked the box and can get on with your life.
I want to bring up one other story, which is sort of the downside of this, because we were talking about, speeches as well. And so one year, Seth MacFarlane, our boss, was asked to give the commencement address at Harvard. So like this is a big deal. This is like, I want to say like 2008-ish, in that era. And so of course he had a few of us, writing jokes, coming up with one-liners for him for the event. And so Danny Smith, who we love and is the funniest, like sweetest guy in the world, was pushing for this joke where I don't remember how exactly Seth got into it. There was a line about, but not on Wednesdays, because in Boston's North End, Wednesdays is Prince Spaghetti Day, which used to be in the 70s. There was a famous commercial for Prince Spaghetti that had like this little kid running through the streets and the mom yelling, Anthony, and like say Wednesdays in Boston's North End.
I don't know if it's just because my TV was black and white, but I feel like it may have been in black and white. Like
it was very old.
Current.
No, very old. So,
oh my God.
So Danny pushed for this joke, saying, Seth, like, they're going to love it there. It's in, you're in the Boston area. It's going to play huge. So this was at the beginning of like live streaming. Like it was really, very new. So we were able to watch the event from our offices. and it was raining that day for the event. So everybody had umbrellas, and Seth's up there on the stage. Seth gets to this joke, but not on Wednesdays, because in Boston's North End, Wednesdays is Prince Spaghetti Day. Silence. All you could hear was the very loud rain hitting 1,000 umbrellas. I remember literally being there with Danny, and Danny, right away, to his credit, was just like, oh boy, he's going to be so mad. and Seth never forgets, like when he feels like he's been hung out to dry.
Every Wednesday. Yeah. A box of pasta arrives
at Danny's doorstep. So that's the downside of the speech. So I guess the overall point of that would be trust your instincts. Like don't let anyone tell you what to say in your speech.
Yeah. Yes. And that a lot less qualifies as a good job than you think.
Absolutely right. All right.
Well, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know if you want to address this, but I was curious how you guys, when we had our dinner with the guests from the podcast, you both had amazing speeches.
There's controversy about this already. Goldie's still angry about this.
Why? Because
Goldie felt like I was preparing for a very long time what it was that afternoon.
Sprung it on me.
Yeah, but that was when I started. That's when I started preparing. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to say a few words, and you were like, it was too late. But you gave up a hilarious speech.
Both of your speeches. So how do you, in a room full of comedians, people you respect, you guys both killed. They were both so funny in your own ways. How do you prepare for something like this?
For me, I mentioned everybody, like I wanted to make sure that even by telling a negative joke about somebody, I wanted to mention everybody, because it's like they all just want to be talked about. We all do.
Oh, that's
so
the situation makes them as nervous as it makes us.
Right. That's funny.
Because they're worried about how people are going to be looking at them to see how they react.
Ooh.
Particularly if you mention their name.
Yes.
Then they have to have a smile plastered to their face.
Yes.
Or they're a, quote, bad sport who doesn't get it.
Right.
I was counting on that. And I knew that I had to go in heavy on Levitan. And that was part of the joke. It was like I was going to mention Levitan first and more than anyone else, just sort of out of respect to his clearly elevated position amongst that group.
Oh, right.
But then it was good for Goldy, because Goldy just got to come out there and shit on me and then go and
Yeah, I don't remember particularly. I just remember questioning the legitimacy of everyone deserving to have a dinner.
Yes.
Yes.
And I knew that would strike at a truth, which was like, why the fuck are we buying these fucking people dinner?
Hey, Steve Levitan, what is it? Would we call him the food challenged? Maybe Steve Levitan is
yeah. I think he's okay.
He's doing all right. That was fun. All right, well, that was fun talking about that too. And Goldy, we said we were going to be under an hour. I think we're sticking to that.
Right.
I love it. So that was fun talking about toasts and speeches. And please, if you have any funny toast stories or speech stories, you can email them to us at atypicaldisgustingdisplay@gmail.com. We love reading them.
Things that went poorly, not things that went well. We don't really
we don't want to hear about you.
Oh, it was so great.
It was so funny.
It was perfect.
Hey, we don't want to hear about you succeeding. We want to hear about embarrassing friendship ending moments. But now let's get into a portion of the show we like to call Top 5.
Top 5.
Oh, that's beautiful, us. Beautiful. Okay, so this was my top 5 this week, and in honor of Halloween that we talked about up top. Top 5 this week is top 5 scary endings. Scary endings. So here we go. I'm going to get into it. Number 5, I would be surprised if either of you have seen this movie, but it will never leave my head, in particular, the last 20 seconds. It's a movie from 1983 called Sleepaway Camp. Has anyone heard of this movie?
No.
Okay, I'm going to spoil it right now, just so you know what it is, because I don't recommend you watch it. It is not in any way a good movie, but the ending is crazy. So as the title tells, it's at a summer camp. Obviously, people are dying. They don't know what's happening. The main character is this young girl in her first time at sleepaway camp. She doesn't want to go. And then, of course, everybody starts dying and you're like rooting for her. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? The very last shot of the movie, it is revealed that, in fact, she is the killer. And not only is she the killer, they have this shot of her screaming, holding up a severed head. And as the shot pulls back, she has a penis. And you realize the whole time that she was like her brother. It was this really weird thing. But that last shot will never leave my mind. It was so terrifying. And I saw this when I was like 11.
Right.
So that was scary.
Sounds very 1988. Yeah. No,
1983.
Wow. Okay.
Terrifying. Number 4 for me, the original Friday the 13th.
Oh, wow.
It's a great. That's actually a great horror film, obviously, because they made 10 more. But the end of it is like you think, the main bad person is dead. Everything's cool. This girl kind of wakes up in a canoe and there's help on the shore. Like, hey, we see you. Then Jason Voorhees, that rascal, pops out of the lake, pulls her under. It was great. Great ending.
Wow.
Number 3, Hereditary. Oh,
I've never seen any of these movies.
Hereditary is one of the scariest movies of this century. And the ending is equally mind-boggling and terrifying. And number 2, I believe this is by the same director, although I fucked this up before. Midsommar.
I think it is.
The ending of Midsommar is just so crazily bleak and awesome.
And then I loved the song too. Sommar's here. The time is right.
No, it was Midsommar lovin' had me a blast. Midsummer nights.
Summertime.
All right, and number one for me, and it wasn't even close.
After the boys of Somar have gone.
Your song, Goldy's song.
He's on fire. Number 1 for me, not even close. The Blair Witch Project.
Ooh.
The final shot of the Blair Witch Project. They absolutely nailed it. Could not have set it up more perfectly. And you're realizing exactly what's happening as you see it. And it's terrifying.
I've seen none of those.
Oh, all right.
Okay. My turn. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I don't watch very many scary movies, so these are going to be kind of soft. So my number 5 is the ending of a movie called Heavenly Creatures, which was Kate Winslet's maybe first or breakthrough movie, where at the end they basically kill and beat the other friend's mom to death. That was horrifying.
Not a happy ending.
Not a happy ending. Number 4, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Just psychologically kind of scary.
Bummer.
Number 3, what's in the back? 7.
Yeah.
Maybe 7. That when I saw that was very scary
Bleak.
to me. Yes. Bleecker Street. Number 2, The Shining. I was the first time I saw the ending of that, I was so scared. And number 1, we have crossover. Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, baby. You know it.
I never watched another scary movie after that.
Nobody puts baby in a corner except the Blair Witch.
Exactly.
All right, Goldy. You're up.
So number 5, I had The Shining.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Number 4, Chinatown.
Ooh, that was
Bleak. Bleak.
Good one.
Then I didn't really stick to movies.
Nice. I love it.
Wicked
Scariest Endings. Number 3, the 1986 World Series Game 6.
Oh,
nice.
You bastard.
As it slowly unfolded in real time.
Unbelievable. What an answer. What an answer.
Number 2, the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Yeah, wow.
We all were gathered in our junior high school auditorium because local teacher and hero was being launched into space. The amount of regional excitement was off the charts.
Off the charts.
We were watching a very 1980s, like maybe a 20-inch TV, the whole auditorium.
Wow.
Yep.
It explodes.
Oh, that's
There's
horrible.
total silence for 2 minutes. And then my social studies teacher, Mr. Winslow, very slowly walked up to the TV and quietly shut it off.
Wow.
And then we just sat there.
That's really
fun afternoon.
Who wants a trip to Wallach's?
Yeah. And the number one scariest ending, life.
Oh, wow.
Deep.
Deep. Oh,
I love it.
Terrifying. Ask Suzanne Summers. Suzanne Somers.
Oh, Suzanne Somers.
Oh my God.
All right. So Goldy, it's your top 5 next week. What do we got?
The top 5 favorite websites to visit.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Keep it clean, boys.
Because I hate most of the internet, but there's maybe everyone has 5 good sites that other people should look at that they like.
Okay.
I have 2 of them that I look at on private all the time.
I was going to say, keep it clean. Keep it clean.
No, we're not going to keep it clean. This is an NC-17 podcast. All right, that'll be good. Next week, top 5 favorite websites.
By the way, judging how bad you are with Zoom, there's no way you're on private mode when you're looking at those. You're definitely
you think you are. Yeah, you think you are.
Yeah, no, there are no
JC
secrets.
literally has to get on and work your computer every week for you to get on this podcast, and you think you're like skulking around, getting away with
secrets.
it. Yeah, sure.
My master plan of technology.
Yeah. Click on history.
Yeah,
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
What's history?
Share history.
Yeah, wait, history? Wait, what? All right, that'll be fun next week. And now it's time to close the show as we do every week on a high note. Yay! Thank you, Tom and Max. Tom has been reaching out. He apparently has a new favorite podcast, which is about the United States Postal Service. So we've been knocked off the top by Tom. I hope you even have time for us this week if you're not listening to a podcast about stamps and zip codes. All right, I'm going to start off with a high note this week. This is going to sound highly irregular, but my high note this week is me. Oh, an unusual curveball. And again, this is related to therapy.
Catcher missed it and it hit the umpire in the throat. That's how much of a curveball it was.
Hit the team mascot knocking him out. As I've said before on here, I'm really getting a lot out of my therapy. I think my therapist is awesome. He has given me, it's not like I'm taking to it like, Will Hunting in a hallway chalkboard. I don't figure everything out, but he gives me enough that I can go out into the world with that has honestly made my life feel better. And I just didn't really ever think it was going that way after 30. Like you just don't think that like you're ever going to start to feel better about anything in certain ways. So the fact that this is happening and he's sort of given me these little gifts that I'm able to apply out in life have made me very excited.
Name one.
When I get angry about anything, it's me getting young. It's me being instantly taken back to the time of my childhood trauma when I was not encouraged to express any kind of negative emotion. And so I don't know how. And so when I feel very internally frustrated by things, that's me getting young. And I've been able to recognize that. It's not that I don't get angry or upset or anxious about stuff anymore. It's just that I'm able to see in the moment, okay, I'm turning very young in the way that I react to this. So it's fine to be upset about it, but let's just change it up how we're reacting. That's for sure one big thing.
Okay, JC, we can cut all that.
Wait, no. Hey, asshole. How dare you say that to me? I'm changing, goddammit.
Hey, you're expressing. At least you're expressing.
You're an idiot. You're terrible. All right, that's my high note. Next.
And now I'm Tony Soprano walking away from the Janice.
Yes, from Janice. That's the dream.
That's funny.
All right, whose high note is next? Go ahead.
Mine's super quick. I can go super quick.
Go for it.
Today is my mom's birthday, and I would love to say happy birthday, Mom. Hopefully you're listening this week. She loves the podcast, but yes, happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, JC's mom, for squeezing out this one here.
So, my older daughter has had this stuffed animal since she was 2. It's a stuffed penguin. She's very attached to it, and for years I've said, like, this thing should never leave the house, because if we lose it, the consequences will be too grave, because she's immensely attached to it.
Yeah.
So she went to a camp 2 weekends ago and lost it.
Oh.
And I'm a little attached to the thing, to be honest with you.
Oh my God.
Like, it's the last sort of vestige of her being young. But she was really upset, and we called the camp, and they didn't have it, and my wife and I were calling a couple times a day. Well, I just received a text this morning.
What?
Yeah.
And my wife has gone and picked up the penguin, and I cannot
God.
wait for her to see it again. And that fucking thing is never leaving the house.
Just like you said.
Just nail it to the floor like a foie gras duck.
Yeah.
Just fatten that baby up. Well, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
So thank you. I don't want to mention the camp because I don't want anyone to know anything about me, but I want to thank everyone there, and for, because we explained the situation. I feel like they took extra care and brought it up at a camp-wide meeting, and like conducted a pretty exhaustive search for it and found it.
Wow, that's sweet.
Thank you, Camp Wanakaki. Is that not what it's called? That was a fun show today. So fun talking about the speeches, and Goldy, your terrifying neighborhood at Halloween. Really fun. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you two for being awesome, and we will talk to you again next week. Okay.
That was fun. And it stops right now.